This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Should the government release video evidence of the cross LOC strike? That's been the big debate over the last 48 hours, and the final decision now rests with the Prime Minister. The AAP wants proof, it says, to counter Pakistani propaganda, while the Congress has been telling us, well, we did it as well. And today, Venkaiah Naidu, Central Minister, has said that further discussions on surgical strikes would be an insult to the army. The Cabinet Committee on Security met this morning, where the Prime Minister has told his colleagues that there should be no chest thumping on the strikes. Meanwhile, former army chiefs have warned against showing any of this video evidence publicly. They say Pakistan can benefit from it, while others say that national security is being used as a bogey. There's nothing wrong in showing the evidence. And in all of this, posters have now popped up in parts of Uttar Pradesh thanking the army and the Prime Minister for the strikes. Is the army, therefore, in danger of being used as a political tool? Is that already happening? And should we be asking questions on the strikes, or simply take the army's word for it, as the centre says? Joining us on the programme tonight, Ajay Shukla here in the studio with us. He has, of course, served in the army himself. We have General Patankar, the former corps commander in the Kashmir Valley, joining us tonight from Pune. Manish Tiwari of the Congress, Mr. GVL Rao of the BJP, and Saurabh Bhardwaj of the Aam Aadmi Party. General Patankar, let me take this question to you first, sir. Have you been dismayed at seeing the kind of ugly politics that this issue has got engulfed in over the last 2 days? And in the middle of it all, is the army, and everyone is playing politics around the army.
I think extremely unfortunate that what should have been an event for national celebration, quiet celebration, has now been turned into a political battle. The thing is that the army did what it had to. The ball is now in the court of the government, and my strong recommendation is that there is no compulsion. There should be no reason to start putting proof either in front of the people, or for that matter in front of anybody. We don't really need to do that. At an appropriate time, perhaps a select group representing various parties can be given a briefing supported by adequate evidence, and in a strictly need-to-know basis, no publicity, no completely Chatham House rules kind of a situation.
Why do you say that? What is your biggest worry if any video evidence was to be publicly released?
Nidhi, in today's day and age, any evidence that you put forth, particularly if it's of the technical kind, it can be analyzed to determine several things. To begin with, the technical parameters of the equipment that you're using, the methodology, the modus operandi of various equipments. For instance, let me give an example of the drone footage. If you were to show this drone footage in the public domain, and the Pakistanis would get hold of it, they would be able to find out at what altitude do your drones operate, what is the night camera capability, what is the range that it covers, what is the field of view of the cameras, and so on and so forth. What frequency band are they working in? And all this information available to enemy can be used by him to degrade the performance of that equipment.
Okay, let me take what you said to Mr. GVL Rao of the BJP. Mr. Rao, do you think that the centre should have actually held an all-party meeting and shown the video evidence to the opposition, and therefore we would not be in this situation today where, you know, this kind of politics and finger-pointing is happening, which is extremely unfortunate. But do you think even now there is space to do that, to actually be able to show this footage to opposition parties?
You would know the day strikes were carried out, an all-party meeting was held, and armed forces, it was the army representatives who briefed all the political parties. I think raising pusillanimous demands, questioning your own army happens only in India, happens only in this country. Nowhere in the world political opposition raises such pusillanimous demands. I think nobody questioned about the strikes that were carried out to eliminate Osama bin Laden. I don't think any political party made such silly demands. I think our political parties have really not become mature enough to raise relevant questions, and to question your own armed forces is actually I think the lowest denominator that political parties can go to. I think I accuse them of actually speaking the language of Pakistan at a time when the whole world has rallied behind us for carrying out the surgical strikes. The whole world has accepted our position, and every country has their own way of knowing the truth. And these political parties, in the garb of answering to Pakistan, they are actually giving a handle to Pakistan to raise such questions. I think these political parties, I think, need to really tell the country as to why they are raising these demands and why are they having non-state actors within the Congress party. Congress party says, leader says something, and several leaders come out, hold press conferences, call this to be a fake operation.
But Mr. Rao,
and spokespersons hold press conferences, demand evidence. And now Congress party today retracts, saying we are not asking for evidence.
But Mr. Rao,
I want
why
to know
not have...
what is the official position of the Congress?
I'll come to the Congress on that in just a moment, but I'm also asking that would it be a good idea if the Prime Minister called Sonia Gandhi, called Arvind Kejriwal, other leaders of political parties, and with the army, and said, look, this is what we have, and took the opposition into confidence? Would that not be an important step too? It doesn't have to be shown publicly, but maybe it can be shown to select people, as General Patil also suggested.
No, personally, I think when the army has spoken, I think that's the last word. And any political party does not deserve a response if they do not have credibility in the army. I think there is no need or no effort to be invested in to convincing such parties which put their political and partisan considerations above national interest.
Well, Ajay
that is
Shukla
my personal view, and I think that's what every Indian believes.
Ajay Shukla wants to come in before I come to Manish Tiwari on that. Ajay.
Yeah, when I hear
Can we not question the army?
When I hear this outrage on TV, most of it fake, I'm reminded of a saying that national security and the national interest are the last refuge of a scoundrel. Armies, in case Mr. Rao has not heard, are routinely questioned in democracies. He may not have heard that the Vietnam War was essentially the questioning of the US public forced the US Army to be pulled out of Vietnam. More recently in Iraq and Afghanistan, the questioning and the resistance from the public has forced this thing.
This is a silly explanation.
Just a minute, let me have my say. So, they don't want to be questioned.
Don't show your fake analysis here.
They don't
Please
want to be questioned.
Please don't call me fake when you yourself put out a fake analysis.
Mr. Rao, don't interrupt. I didn't interrupt you when you were talking.
Okay.
No, but you are a fake, so I must call you. I must call you that.
I don't know about who's a fake, you or me, but let's the viewers judge that. Let me just talk to the reasoning behind this.
Sure.
This is, from the outset, it has been politicized. And should not be surprising that political parties are now jumping on board. Had it been left to be a military or a strategic operation, the military would have carried out its strike. The message would have gone home to the Pakistani military. Such strikes have been carried out in the past. We could have done a heavier strike this time. The message would have gone home. In announcing it, there was a clear political message. And the message was coming both to the Indian people and I hope to the Pakistani people, because if it was only to the Indian people, then it would be a message of electoral benefit, of hoping to extract benefit in the UP and Punjab elections.
But what about this point about whether the video evidence should be shared with the opposition? Mr. Rao says the fact that the opposition has even raised these questions is something that he believes is them speaking the language of Pakistan.
That stance seems to be the administration's basic fundamental default position, that anybody now who says anything that they disagree with, they say they are speaking the language of Pakistan and they are denigrating our brave soldiers. Our brave soldiers don't need any certificate from either the ruling party or from people who question them. They are doing what they have to, and that's pretty good. When it comes to the question of releasing evidence, now that you have been questioned, it is essential for our own credibility's sake to establish that the raid did take place. We can very well sit on our high horse and say we don't need to establish to anyone. That's a bit like what Pakistan does, that we don't support terrorism.
So you don't agree with General Patankar?
I completely disagree. I think that good editing can be used to mask any technical parameters that we don't wish to release. As far as drones go, these drones are commercially available. These drones are available on the world market. Pakistan has probably tried out these drones itself. It's quite aware what altitude
I'll
it
come to
functions
General
at
Patankar
and
on this.
so on.
Let me just get Manish Tiwari on this, because Manish, an important point here is also the way the opposition has conducted itself. I, for one, believe in a democracy. We should all be able to ask questions of all institutions, and that's why, we are a thriving democracy. Having said that, isn't the problem here, A, that Congress leaders have been speaking in multiple voices? You have one thing that the party has said officially. You have another leader who actually, uses the word that these strikes are fake. Maybe there could have been a call from Sonia Gandhi to the Prime Minister saying, we would like to know more on this. We would like to have some kind of a background briefing. Can you share the footage with us? As responsible opposition parties, isn't there a responsibility that you all also have?
I'm sorry, Nidhi, but you're completely and absolutely missing the wood for the trees. There is nobody who is questioning the operations along the LOC. If the army has institutionally said that they have conducted operations along the LOC, which is not a first, as various service chiefs have pointed out, that it was a regular occurrence, from, let's say, the late 90s right on to 2016. What is the first this time is the public profiling of an operation. Now, a government has a legitimate right that if it wants to publicly profile an operation, it is within its discretion, its domain to do so. But having done that, what you do is that you unleash a battle of narratives. There is an Indian narrative, a legitimate narrative. There is a Pakistani narrative, which is a narrative of denial. And there is an international narrative, which unfortunately is ambiguous at this point in time, irrespective of whatever Mr. Narasimha Rao would like to believe. And discourse dominance is something which is fundamental and intrinsic to the doctrine of asymmetric warfare. So therefore, when the government had decided that they will go public with the details of the operation, they should have really thought through the implications and possibly had a strategy in place whereby the discourse domination or the information dissemination would have been to that an order that we wouldn't have really come to this pass. So therefore, where the government miscalculated is possibly in terms of how the narrative will play out once they decide to go public with this particular event.
Manish, my question also is that doesn't the Congress also need to speak in one voice?
From 1999 to 2000, Nidhi, allow me to complete. You've given everybody enough time, allow me to complete. From 1999 onwards, at various points in time, the Indian Army has conducted operations along the LOC, and I deliberately would not like to use the term across the LOC because it has certain connotations and implications which you well understand. But none of those operations at any point in time became controversial. The message was delivered to Pakistan. At certain points in time, possibly Pakistan even altered the policy of its non-state actors. It may have been transitory. But at this point in time, when you decided to publicly profile it, you should have had a strategy whereby your discourse dominance should have been as impeccable as your strikes are.
I take your point that you have to control the narrative, and especially when you're trying to get a message out to the world. But Manish Tiwari, what about the Congress speaking in different voices? Look, at the end of the day, we all look incredibly stupid as a country. People have a right to raise questions, but look at the kind of politics that has the tutu meme that's gone on over this for the last 2 days. There's no mature asking of questions. It's finger pointing instead. I think, of course, the opposition should raise questions. That's what you're there to do. But there is a way to say it, not the way Sanjay Nirupam said it.
Well, Didi, insofar as a particular individual or a gentleman is concerned, we've made it very clear and very obvious that we do not share that point of view. Having said that, as someone who served on the Standing Committee of Defense, I think given the paradigm of our civil-military relations, the defense establishment is not a holy cow. The defense establishment is open to questioning, and questioning does not mean inquisition. And as someone who sat on that committee, I can tell you that regularly the defense establishment very willingly and voluntarily has submitted itself to very penetrating cross-examination on a whole range of issues.
Saurabh Bharadwaj, let me ask though, is the AAP willing to let this go? Or this demand for releasing the video evidence? So far, all the advice that the government has got from the intelligence community, from the armed forces, is that we don't recommend releasing it, and it is a political call for the PM to take. Will you respect that?
First and foremost, if you listen to the whole video released by Arvind Kejriwal, he has never used the word video evidence or videotapes to be released by anybody. What he has raised is a concern that what Pakistan and Pakistani media says, India is not concerned. What India and Indian media says, Pakistan is not concerned. We don't care about each other. But what international media thinks, what international opinion is formed about the credibility of India and Indian armed forces is very important, especially when the Prime Minister is roaming around the whole world creating a good or trying to create a good opinion about India. So, if there is a perception which is being built by Pakistan, the government has to act. Secondly, as the Army Chief Bikram Singh ji has said already, that such surgical strikes have happened in the past also. Recently, it happened in 2013 also. So I think, telling it to the world or telling it to the people of India was a political decision which was taken by the government of India. So to manage that perception in the world view is also the responsibility of the government. The army has done what it was supposed to do, and it has been doing it for last 60 years. And saying it, like I have been seeing that, it has been said across all the TV channels that this was the first time army could do it. So I think if army has been doing it and we say that it has been first time army has done it, it is also demeaning to the valor of army. Since 1947 we have had 4 wars with Pakistan and we have defeated them in all of them. So I think Indian army deserves much more applause, not for just last 15 days but for last 60 to 70 years.